and strength unto the beast. That is why all of them had to sign that treaty. And they're going to have an authority over them. There will be a secular rule over them, and there will be a religious rule over them as well. So they will have one mind, and they're going to give their power and their strength unto the beast. Go ahead and read.
These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them.
Oh, so they're going to be around at the coming of the Lord then here. So what we are reading about here, we are reading about something that's leading up to the coming of the Lord. And they're going to make power with the Lamb, and the Lamb going to overcome them. Go ahead and finish that verse.
For he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful.
Now that we understand what time we are dealing with, let's go back now to Revelation chapter 9, and we're going to pick it up at verse 3. Well, we may as well just pick it up at verse 1 and read on down into verse 3. Revelation chapter 9, and we'll begin read at verse 1. So we can understand who it is that we are dealing with and what time we are dealing with. Start reading at Revelation 9 and 1. Go ahead and read.
And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth.
Now we are dealing with the fifth trumpet here, because the fifth angel sounded his trumpet, and we saw the star fall from heaven, and we understand who the star is, and that star is none other than the Satan, because he had the key to the Bible. Wait a minute. Let's go to Revelation 13. We coming right back here. Revelation 13, and we're going to begin reading at verse 1. Show you where this beast got his power and his seat and his great authority from. Okay. You know, this is real plain here. I like to make stuff real plain. Start reading at Revelation chapter 13, and we'll begin reading at verse 1. Go ahead and read.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Wait a minute, what beast are we looking at here? We're looking at Rome, right? It had the 7 heads and it had the 10 horns, but look at who gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Go ahead and read on.
And upon his horns 10 crowns.
Go ahead.
And upon his heads the name of blasphemy.
Go ahead.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear,
Go ahead.
and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority.
Who is the dragon? That is the devil, isn't it? So now the Satan gave him his power and his seat and his great authority. This is the angel that came down from heaven with the key to the bottomless pit. That is where he got his power and seat and great authority from. Now we can go back to Revelation chapter 9 and read it again. Now we even have a better understanding of what we are reading. You're going to understand this thing before you get out of here. I'm going to make sure of that. Let's start reading at Revelation chapter 9, and we'll begin at verse 1. Revelation 9 and 1. Okay, go ahead and read.
And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth. And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit.
Now we know who the star is. That is the devil, right? Because in the Hebrew tongue, his name was Apollyon, Abandon, and in the Greek tongue, his name was Apollyon, which means destroy. So we understand who the star is, and we understand who it is that was in the bottomless pit, right? We understand that was the Roman Empire, and as we read in the 13th chapter of Revelation, it is Satan that gave him his power and his seat and his great authority. Go ahead and read on.
And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace.
Go ahead.
And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit.
Go ahead.
And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power.
Now we are not reading about insects here. We are reading about war equipment. That's what we are reading about here, because all this stuff is leading up to the battle at Armageddon. And that is what we are dealing with here. Because John was looking at this stuff in a bit. 2,000 years ago, there was no such thing as a tank. There was no such thing as an airplane. Now the Lord's showing John this stuff in a vision. You understand what I'm saying? Now what John is trying to do, he is trying to describe what he is looking at. He's looking at, man, I don't know what that is. Well, it looked like a locust, kind of like. That's what it looked like to me. A tank crawling along. We see tanks all the time on the news now, crawling along. But John didn't know nothing about no tanks, so it kind of looked like a locust to me. So that's what he was describing. Now he is looking at war equipment here, because he is looking at this generation. He ain't looking at 2,000 years ago. He's looking at something that wasn't even invented in his day, wasn't even invented until almost 2,000 years later. So he's trying to describe what he's looking at. Go ahead and read on.
Verse 4.
Go ahead.
And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth,
Go ahead.
neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads.
Go ahead and read.
And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh the man.
Now, you know, this is dealing with some kind of chemical war, germ war, because they, you know, you hear about it all the time. You know, because that is what the United States accused Saddam Hussein of using. You understand? Some chemical war there.
Sir.
So, you know, that's what it look at. So now it's not going to kill people, but it's going to just torment them. Go ahead and read.
And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them.
You know, this must be some terrible torment here. You understand?
Yes, sir,
it's
brother.
so bad until you want to die, but the Lord ain't going to even let you die. Lord said, death, I'm going to just let you be tormented. Go ahead and read on.
And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle.
Go ahead.
And on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men.
Go ahead.
And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle.
Go ahead and read.
And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tail, and their power was to hurt men 5 months.
Go ahead.
And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
Go ahead.
One woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter.
Now, woe just simply means grief and sorrow. You know, them first 4 angels, they sounded their trumpets, and things happened, you know, on the earth. You know, water was turned to blood, fire came down, and all that. But then these last 3 trumpets, they was described as woes, which means grief and sorrow. That means something really terrible is going to happen now. So now, you know, the first war is past, and that is the Roman Empire, and they inflicting pain on people through germ war, chemical war, whatever it is called here. Now, go on into verse 13 and verse, same chapter, verse 13. Now, that was the 5th trumpet. Now we're going to deal with the 6th trumpet. Go ahead and read.
And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, Loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates.
Now here we have the great river Euphrates, and that is a river that is still over there in the Middle East. It's been over there all the way back since creation, because you read about it all the way back in the first of Genesis, don't you? So now it is still there, and he's letting you know that 4 angels which bound the great Euphrates, they said loose the 4 angels. Go ahead and read on.
And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the 3rd part of men.
Well, that's a lot of dead people, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
A 3rd part of men. You know, all this stuff it is about battle. You know, all of these locusts and all this stuff that we are reading about here, it is all about war equipment. That is what it is about. And now he's talking about 1/3 of men being killed. Go ahead and read on.
And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them.
Well, that's 200 million. Can you imagine an army of 200 million? That's a massive army.
Yes, sir.
Of 200 million. You know who this is? This is the kings of the East, Russia and her ally. And you read all of the time in the paper nowadays, you know how Russia and China, you know, they doing war games together and all of that stuff. And then you got in the paper where Russia and Iran done hooked up. You understand?
Sir.
Who is Russia and Iran? The Medes and the Persians.
Yes, sir. That's right, brother.
There you got them. You understand what I'm saying? And the book even tell you, I believe it's in the 38th chapter of Ezekiel, how they going to be allied together. And what do we have now? Alliance between Russia and the Persians. You understand what I'm saying? And you got China and Russia together. Just China itself got a big enough army, almost for 200 million. You don't need no more. So now, you got all of these, because these are the kings of the East that we are dealing with here. You know, you got the kings of the West that is headed up by the Roman Empire that we know today as the European common market. And all of that stuff we are reading about, that was under the 5th trumpet. Now we are dealing with the 6th trumpet, because what Russia going to do, they're going to retaliate. You really think they going the European common market going to go over there and mess with Russia and they not going to retaliate?